Greetings, beloved ones, and welcome to Satsang. Thank you for sharing this sacred time with me. Before I talk a bit about something of importance today, I want to mention that I don't have access to all the names of people who I may not know who are new to Light Omega. So if you would let me know or let Yadim know that you're here. We don't have a record of it, but that would be very helpful for the future. So today we enter the realm of the sacred. We enter the realm of the sacred life that we lead, and we enter the realm of the sacred earth that we live upon. And we are called, beloved ones, to ask ourselves this question daily, hourly, moment by moment. What does it mean to live a sacred life? There are many people today who are awakening, who are caring more deeply for the earth, and who are caring more deeply for one another. And in that sense, we know that the sacred has something to do with caring, and it also has something to do with the earth. But we are being asked to have something that's even larger than that, as an understanding what the indigenous peoples in many places call Great Spirit. We are called to link the cosmic and the planetary with our individual lives so that everything is joined in one whole. The planet Earth is awakening, beloved ones, but we are awakening within a universe of life. We are awakening within a creatorship that is infused in every planet, every constellation, every star, every solar system, every galaxy. This is all the body of the One. So, when we speak about a sacred life, our dimensionality has to get larger. We need to include within ourselves what is sacred, what is my relationship with the purpose of life right now in what I'm doing, in any activity that you're doing. This is not an intellectual question. This is a question of your heart. What is your heart telling you about the meaning and significance of what you're doing? And if it is not meaningful, then maybe you need to revise your thoughts about what you should be doing during the day. Because everything that we do is united in that sacred purpose for which we came into being. There is nothing that's meant to be left out. And the capacity to revise what we think we're doing here exists within us in every moment. We don't have to say, well, this is what I've been doing for the last 10 years. This is what I've been doing all my life since I was a child. We don't have to say that. We have the capacity for revision, for fluidity, for new learning. And the learning comes progressively to us. Who are we and who are we becoming? That question is the totality of what we need to pay attention to. Who are we and who are we becoming means take awareness, take cognizance of what you think the boundaries of your life are. See where you feel limited. Allow yourself to imagine expanding beyond those boundaries. See what's possible if you change your belief about who you are. So much of how we live is based on a belief about who I think I am. Life shapes itself around the answer to that question, who I think I am. And then your life mirrors back to you that projection of that belief. But you are fluid, you are changeable, you are growing, you are learning, you are awakening as is this planet. So you can revise your thoughts and beliefs. At least you can try. I like to say hypothetically, you can try and see if something that's a new thought, a new way of looking at yourself can come into being. And then what would it look like? The reason, or one reason, that aging is so much of a problem for so many people in Western culture is that we believe that we've lived already and our life is over. We don't believe that beyond a certain age, we're still growing like children grow, like people grow, like beings grow. And so that belief in um, the static nature of a character or a personality that's already finished, that goes right into the body and that becomes projected outward into both the physical body and into the shape of life toward as you move into uh, the later years of life. That belief that your life is over and that you're not a child of God and that you're not learning just like children do solidifies everything, fixes everything, and then nothing moves, and then everything shuts down. Well, we know that about the physical body. We know that many things shut down or lose their elasticity or lose their capacity to function, but we don't understand that the shutting down of the body and the shutting down of the belief system are two parts of the same thing. So I ask you, beloved ones, when you think about living a sacred life, ask this question continually in your breath, in your being, not in a mental discourse about what is humanity, what does it mean to be human. Those are concepts. More like, what could I become if I let my heart dictate what I could become? What could my relationship with the Creator be if I let my heart believe what some part of me knows to be true? What we call Great Spirit, the Lakota call Tunkashila, and Great Spirit has many other names as well, is the one that is Brahman, the one that is the divine one, the oneness, the Creator. And the Creator and you are in life together. You are the expression of the Creator. And so your life is inevitably sacred, whether you feel it to be that or not. It can't not be that way because you're part of the one being. So as you listen to me, you may have in your thoughts, well, I wish I could live like that, but I have too many health concerns. Or I wish I could live like that, but I have too many people that I'm responsible to in my family. Or I wish I could live like that, but my job is taking up too much of my time. I'm too busy. That's a belief. That's a belief, a lens with which you're viewing your life. And maybe your life needs to change. Maybe your life needs to not only have a new belief governing it, but a new external picture of what it could be. The sacred is an invitation. It's an invitation to you to become more whole. It's an invitation to you to become joined with everyone and everything, not in words, in feeling. To become joined is the sacred, to manifest the one that is all in your consciousness, in your life. That's the sacred. So this always is the aspiration, the desire, the longing of the heart, because your heart doesn't feel, your deeper heart connected with your soul doesn't know about obstacles. It just is. It's just part of the oneness. It doesn't have a discussion with itself. It knows itself to be one. It's connected. But the outer self, your personality self, your ego self, has a discussion with itself about what would that look like, and what if I do this, then what will happen, and how can I let this go because, and your ego self, which operates through your mind, has all kinds of reasons not to be fluid, all kinds of reasons not to change, because the change itself will bring about an unknown factor. You can plan for change, but you can't control everything. So then the belief in having to do what we've done before just stays put, and it's really fear that's operating. It's fear. Fear to become more spiritual, fear to let go of control, fear to not have insurance, particularly when I mean insurance, I mean about money and physical property and the things that we use in the material realm to ensure that we have control over life. So your ego self says, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. And maybe it's not. Maybe it holds that some other lifetime, I'll do that, but not this one. That's okay, that's your choice. But you need to know what you're choosing, what you're voting for with your life, and what you're voting to postpone, let's say. I won't say voting against because there's no against, because life is moving you and all beings into greater wholeness. And that's not a choice that you make, that's built into your spiritual DNA. You can delay that movement, you can postpone it, but you can't change the purpose of creation. It is. The purpose of creation is the manifestation of the sacred through the realization that there's only one here and that we are all parts of that one. One of the more challenging aspects of this awakening process is to move from the level of belief in the principle of love one another, that that's a concept, to the actual practice of it, love one another. The belief you may hold that that's how people are made, but the practice of it involves the legacy of your emotional life. Whether you feel safe with people, whether you trust them, how much you trust them. It's not black or white. You know, there's a mixture of gray in many situations. Whether you have concerns about energies and getting too close to people because of what you're taking in. That's a physical, energetic reality, but that is not the same thing as withholding love. Love and energetic concerns are two different things. They may get linked in your consciousness, but they're not the same. Then again, beliefs. You may decide or feel that you can love most people, most of the universe, except that particular group of people that believes these things, which are so horrible to your own consciousness that you can't find love. So then you have a belief, and then you have a practice, which is half a practice. I'll only love these people who believe what I think is closer to my reality. So then you get stuck with half a truth. Half the truth is you wish to be a loving person. You wish to include love in your life. But then there's that place that says, no, I can't love this being because of what they believe, what they do. People are not what they believe. People are the source motivation that generates beliefs. And very often the beliefs that you find are objectionable are generated by a human concern that is not objectionable. It just hasn't revealed itself to your consciousness. So if you get stuck with people and exclude them from your love on the basis of belief, well, first of all, you're writing off a great deal of humanity. Secondly, you're operating on a surface level of truth. A person is not their beliefs. You could say a person is their heart or their motivation or their sense of vulnerability or their sense of identity on the more fundamental level that I was saying. Who am I in relation to the creator of life? You could say that the answer to that question is who a person is, how they define their relationship to God, to the creator. So you can get past beliefs if you choose to, but you have to choose to. And you can get past rigidity if you choose to, but you have to choose to. And I'm not saying that this can happen in an instant. Sometimes it can, but sometimes it takes persistent work to allow the desire for a sacred life and for a visible relationship with Great Spirit, the creator of all, to manifest more strongly so that you work hard to dismantle the beliefs that are getting in your way. You don't just say, well, I've thought this for so many years, I don't know how I could get over it. You don't say that. You say, I am a child of the divine. I am capable of learning just like a child in every moment. There are so many things to learn, so many wonderful things to learn about yourself and about the way reality is the interface between spiritual reality and physical reality being one of the greatest landscapes of exploration that one could possibly want to explore. What is the relationship between spiritual reality and physical reality? Literally, molecularly, cellularly, and in you and in your body. I spoke a few minutes back about aging because that relationship between how the body works in terms of its shutting down of function and how your consciousness works in terms of the crystallization, the solidification of beliefs about life, those two things are two parts of the same thing. Our picture of aging influences our bodies greatly. And your picture of who you are in your fluidity and capacity to change influences your life greatly. I have said to you before, and I'm saying again today, that there is only one life. There is only one being. And I have, let's say, personalized it to say, my life is your life. Your life is my life. Because I don't experience a boundary in that way. I don't feel a boundary around what the word personal is. But is that something that you would like, or is that something you're afraid of? If you're afraid of it, then you will, in conscious or unconscious ways, allow love to flourish up to a certain point and then back away. Because your fear of too much love or the extension of yourself into a greater whole that does not involve self-protection in the same way it involves trust in the divine. That unity doesn't mean I'll be unified with you until I get scared and then I will separate. That's not unity. That's conditional joining of some kind. And human beings, we do this all the time. But as a goal, The goal is to release self-protection and find or locate in you trust in the divine, in the oneness of all, so that you can love freely. You don't have to place conditions on it. You don't have to make your love dependent on what somebody else responds with. It's just there. And it comes from this intimate sense of there is only one life, and we are all parts of that one. And that can be an extraordinarily beautiful experience to be consciously part of that one life, consciously. There is what we would call a practical, although that word is changing too in our vocabulary, but let's use it for now until something better comes along. There is a practical application of what I'm telling you. And it applies to groups, and it applies to communities. It applies to a spiritual community. It applies to a geographical community. It applies to political communities, applies to nations, and it applies to the planet. All communities on all levels. The practical application is, how much do you feel there's a separation between what you do for yourself and what you do for the greater good of all? How much do you experience your motivation during the day, during the month, during your life as being related to something that holds an ideal in you? I am part of this. And this community that I'm part of is larger than my personal needs, personal gains, personal protection. I am part of this. This is where people often get stuck between concept and application, because the history of the ego self still lives strongly within us. And the history of the ego self is, I need to look after myself. And included in that is my loved ones. Each person needs to look after themselves because no one else is looking after me. The history of separation and self-protection is based on that idea that survival, sustenance has to do with looking after yourself. And if you hold that to be true, then your love will extend to the boundary of, as long as my sense of protection isn't threatened, as long as I'm not in doubt about whether my needs are going to get met, I will be loving. But as soon as I am concerned about that, the door gets closed. So when I talk to you about community, it's because something has to be penetrated of that barrier, something that has to do with trust that there is enough for all, that all needs can be met, that there is only one being here, and that instead of it being a competition of the needs of one and the needs of me, my needs, your needs, their needs, there is a place in the universe where all needs can be met, but we have to commit ourselves to finding it. Within this community of Light Omega, as within other spiritual communities, that relationship of individual need to the good of all also is a question. How do you participate in a community? I said before, I'm speaking on multiple levels, not just about a spiritual community, but all communities. What part do you feel your individuality plays in the common denominator of what's good for all? How much do you give to that greater whole? How much do you want to give? How much do you want to protect? How much are you afraid, even if you want to give more, of letting go of self-protection. It's very important to be without blame about this. Very important. Because this isn't a matter of accusing yourself because you have a fear of relating more to a greater whole. This is a matter of understanding that we're in a planetary transition of identity, shifting from an ego identity to a planetary identity, or I would say a cosmic identity. We're in a transition. So the history of separation is alive within us as a contrast of the past, looking at the future and where things are trying to move. But it's there. And if you get involved with judgment about it, well, then it doesn't move. It just adds another layer of problem to the issue of who am I? And what is my relationship to the Creator? You may feel that I've posed more questions than I've answered, but the answers have to come from inside of you, beloved ones. You are the one who knows what the answer to these questions are. You are the one who knows whether you are truly ready to live a sacred life or whether you're holding on to a belief that's preventing you from doing that. And you are the one that knows without shame, just observation, just to see whether your love extends to a boundary at which fear says, no further, no more love, now I draw back. You're the one who knows that. And these are all things to learn about yourself so that your life can become what another part of you wishes, which is a sacred life held in God. You're the one who knows the answers to these questions. So I invite you to look within yourself in meditation or as you go through the day, just to be a more calm and observant viewer of your own present beliefs so that you can see what's governing your behavior. This may involve more responsibility that you take for your own awareness, but this is where we are. This is the shape of awakening, that the divine action of the One is producing this upturning, this amplification of soul energy and divine life manifesting. And you are the link between joining that awakening into your physical embodied experience. You are the link to do that. So I invite you to become that link more consciously, to examine your beliefs without shame or judgment, and to see what answers you come up with to these questions. We are here in a remarkable time in this planet's history, and there's so much good that will come from this time, so much. And you are each here to be part of that transition and to bring about that good. May your life and your days and your choices be blessed. Om Namo Bhagavate, Om Namo Namaha. I bow to the Supreme Being that lives within all. Namaskar.